Hi computer scientists, Mr. Stafford here, and today I wanted to show you Unit 5, Lesson 2, Traversing a 2D Array by Rows. So the first level says the program is supposed to calculate the sum all daily social media posts made during a 4-week period, but there's an error. Find and correct the error in the code. So when I run this, what we see is that the total post for this month is 629. But if we add these all up, it's not going to be 629. So taking a closer look, all of our syntax is correct. So let's take a look at this algorithm here where we traverse the 2D array with our nested for loops. So we're saying that sum is 0, and our outer for loop is going through our outer array for our 2D array. And so it's our row major form, so it's row. Row is less than daily posts dot length, row plus plus. That looks fine. In our inner for loop, we are going through the inner arrays, and we're saying int column, so these are also representative of the column 0, and then column is going to be less than daily posts dot length. So I see that daily post.length is used twice here, but what we're really trying to do is go through the length of the inner arrays, which would be at an index of the outer arrays, right? So it's going to be daily posts, and I'm going to say at index row. You can also say index 0, since these have the same length, but I'm just going to put row because it's going to get the length of each individual row that we are at. Okay. Let's see if there's any other errors. Sum plus equals daily posts at row and then column. That looks fine. It was 629. Now it's 753, and that looks like what we want. Go ahead and tick finish. Then it says import owner.java from your backpack. So I'm going to go to backpack and find owner.java, and I haven't imported that from my previous level, so I need to go ahead and do that. So if you've forgotten, also go back to your previous level where you have created your owner.java, and what I need to do is commit code, and I'm going to commit my owner, and then this is my owner.java after lesson 1. Commit and save. Okay, flow back. And now from my backpack, I should see owner.java and go ahead and import. Okay. The owner of the Project Mercury Pastries food truck wants to be able to determine the average price of all desserts at all food trucks. So in owner.java, which is where I'm at now, write the calculate average price method to calculate and return the average price for all desserts available at all food trucks. So in my food truck, call the calculate price method and print the result. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do right now. I'm actually going to go to myfoodtruck.java, and I'm going to say food truck owner dot and then call calculate average price, so I can kind of test it as I go along and write it in the owner class. Okay, so I'm going to grab the starter code that they've provided for me, paste it down here, and it says to traverse the truck prices to calculate and return the average price of all desserts. Okay, so what I'm going to make first is I'm going to say double sum equals 0. Okay, and then I want to traverse this two-dimensional array of truck prices. Make sure that it is called truck prices, and it is. Okay. So I'm going to make a nested for loop, int row, is 0. Row is going to be less than, truck prices dot length row plus plus. Open up the curly brace. The inner for loop is going to do int call is equal to 0. Call is going to be less than truck prices at index row and call plus plus. Okay, so for the average, what I need to do is I need to add up all of the prices in the array. So I'm going to do sum plus equals every price in the truck prices array. So truck prices at index row and index column. Okay. All right. So I'm getting in this nested for loop the sum of all of those indexes. Now, to calculate the average, I need to divide the sum by all of the elements in that array. There's a couple of ways to go about this. I can make another, here's one way, I can make another double, and I'm going to call this count, because I'm just going to count all the elements in this 2D array. Okay? And every time I run the inner for loop, I want to add to count, so I'm going to say count plus plus. Okay. Then what I need to do is return that double. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that my double average is going to be equal to my sum divided by count, and I'm going to return my average. Okay, click run, and I have an error in here, and it says error bad operand types for binary operator, and I have int call equals 0, call less than truck prices. Oh, at row dot length. I forgot my length. Okay, go ahead and hit run. And it ran successfully. Okay, very good. I'm going to flow back over to my food truck. I was expecting it to print out, but I didn't put it in a print statement. So I'm going to do system.out.println, printing the averages, and I'm going to say average price, concatenate the call to the calculate average price method, and average price is $6.25. Just looking at these prices, little spot check, $10, $7, $1, $9, $7, $1.25. It looks like it might be $6.12.5. So I think that's good. I'm going to click finish. Okay, so in collage.java, write the create collage method to display the images on the stage. So I need to find the create collage method, and it says the width and the height of each image should be half the width and height of the stage. So it's asking me to do a couple of things: initialize variables x and y position, and then width and height. So I'm going to do int x position is going to be equal to my first image. So what we're doing is displaying a collage of images. So x, I'm going to start at 0. Y, I'm going to start at 0, my x and y position. And then it tells me the width and the height of each image should be half of the width and the height of the stage. So I'm going to say int width is going to be equal to my stage dot get width divided by 2, because that's half of the width. And it's the same concept for height. It's going to be equal to my stage dot get height and divide that by 2. Okay. And then it says the first row of the 2D array should display on the first row of the stage, while the second row of the 2D array should display on the second row of the stage. So looking at this comment, it says to traverse the 2D array to display the images on the stage. So for, and this is going to be for the row, int row is equal to 0, row is going to be less than collage images dot length, because we have this array of collage images as an instance variable up at the top. Those are my collage images. And then row plus plus. And then another for loop, int call is going to be equal to 0. Call is going to be less than collage images at index row dot length, and call plus plus. Okay, so what we're wanting to do is display these images on the stage. So what I need to do is my stage dot draw image, and what I'm wanting to draw is that image that's at the row and the column of my 2D array. So I'm going to draw collage images at row column, and I need to give it an X position, which I've initialized above, same with the Y position, and a width and a height. And also we have a parameter for rotation, and so I don't want to rotate it, so it's going to be 0. And each time that I run this, or that I draw an image, I want to change the position of my images. Let me see. And so what I'd like to do is take my X position and add half the width to it. Since one image is taking up half the width, I'm going to add to that X position the other half of the width. So I'll start drawing it, instead of at 0, in the middle of the screen. So I'm going to say width. Okay. And then once I get out of this for loop, that first row is going to be drawn. And so what I need to do is get the X position, the left and right position of the next set of images all the way to the left of the screen. So I need to say X position is set back equal to 0, but then I need to bring the Y position down. So I'm going to say Y position plus equals my height, because again my height is half of the height of the screen. Okay, so let's take a look at in my concert.java first. So it gives me some information here. It says in my concert.java, it says declare and initialize a string 2D array called concert images. Okay, so I'm going to do string array called, so I don't misspell it, copy and paste, concert images. It's going to be equal to 2 open curly braces. I need citycars.jpg, so I'm going to copy that, paste it here. And electric vehicles.jpg, paste that there. In the first row, okay, so I've taken care of my first row, so I have to have a comma and another curly brace. And the smoggy city.jpg and the train JPEG in the second row. Okay, and then it says create a sustainable concert object. So I'm going to copy that, called transportation. passing concert images as the argument to the constructor. So this is going to be a new sustainable concert. And what I need to do is take a look at sustainable concert and see the constructor. So the only parameter in the constructor is that 2D array of strings. And so I made this 2D array of strings called concert images. And I'm going to feed that in as arguments or parameters for the sustainable concert. Okay? And then it says call transportation.playConcert. Okay, so I have made the transportation object and the play concert method I'm going to run. Oh, I need a semicolon. Clear this console, run it, make sure I don't have any errors, and test it. And we have our collage of images popped up on the screen. And in level 5, it says in Imageeffect.java, write the getPixels method to return a 2D array of pixel objects from an image. Okay, and then it gives me the steps to do this, but it also gives me some starter code which I'm going to take, and I need to be in Imageeffect. So I'm going to flow over to Imageeffect and paste that. Okay. And it says declare and initialize int variables for the width and the height of the image. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do int width equals, and we're going to declare and initialize int variables for the width and the height of the image. Okay, so int width is equal to the image, which is our parameter, dot get width, and our height, int height, is going to be equal to the image dot get height. Okay, so we declared and initialized int variables for the width and the height. Step 2 says declare and initialize a 2D pixel array that uses the height of the image for the number of rows and the width of the image for the number of columns. Okay, so this is a pixel 2D array. Oh, make sure that those are hard brackets. And I'm going to name this pixel array. And it's going to be a new pixel 2D array. And it says use the height of the image for the number of rows. Okay, so this is rows, so I'm going to go height from the int variable that I declared above, and the width for the columns. Okay. And then it says use nested loops to traverse the height, which is the rows, and the width, which is the columns of the image. Okay. So here's what we got to do. We got to do a nested for loop. So for int row equals 0, row is going to be less than pixel array dot length row plus plus. Make a nested for loop. Int call is going to be equal to 0. Call is going to be less than pixel array at index row dot length and call plus plus. Okay. And then this bullet says use get pixel call row to set the current pixel of the image in the 2D pixel array. So what we're doing is we're doing pixel array at row call is going to be equal to we need to use the get pixel call row to set the current pixel of the image in the 2D pixel array. Now, if we take a look at the slide deck that we had a slide that talked about this, is that the pixels in an image use kind of this XY coordinate system, where if we were going to this pixel right here that the arrow is pointing to, we're going to the right 5 and down 4. But if we're talking about our row major organization for 2D arrays, it's reversed. So our row and our column is going to be 4, 5. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And so that's why it gives me this information right here. Use get pixel to set the current pixel of the image in 2D pixel array. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk to the image dot get pixel call row. And then we need to return this pixel array, because we have filled this pixel array with the pixels, and it's asking us to return it because that's the data type being returned. So we're going to return pixel array. Okay, go ahead and hit run. It's successful. And go ahead and hit finish and answer this last question for lesson 2.